Okay, cool. So we're recording now and we'll plan to make this public. And if anything gets said that shouldn't be on the recording, you'll let me know and we'll stop it and we'll start a new one. And if we don't stop, we'll make it public. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, cool, man. So let's just start with the debrief. Your thoughts from our meeting?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I'm so excited to see all the development and the progress. And I think it's going to be very beneficial for people like me that are coaching others to have a backbone or a structure, to not just being like insights but actual action and realization, because I think that's missing.
Yeah, you're talking about the tangibility of the control panel and pushing the buttons and making changes and all of that. It has evolved a lot since we talked about it, right? I mean, I shared with you right when I was first having the idea of the control panel, and now you can see what I've actually programmed into existence and how quickly I integrated with the story making machine. Isn't that amazing, the way I integrated with the story making machine?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's like a social media of projects, basically.
Yeah. And the thing, just to share with you, again, another level of depth of what we were just talking about is that, so with these, as you go to the page to, check mark, go through all of the things that you need to do in order to, put your page together to attract your supporters and have it in a situation where you can share it with connectors, is that on the page, you'll basically just like click on this, there'll be a link, click here, and it'll take you to that part of the admin in order to get that done. So you don't even have to go through the admin to figure it out. You just go into here, you just go through the steps. It automatically brings you to the right place in the admin to get it done.
For that specific intention.
Exactly, for that specific supporter. Exactly.
Supporter.
Exactly. So the time page is customized based on the supporter that you're looking at when you press the time. So you press the time button and it takes you to a page, it gives you all the options, and it gives you a link into your own admin for that specific supporter next to it. So it's all, again, it's not just telling you about it, but it's actually taking you to it. And the way I'm looking at this now, I keep saying it's like paint by numbers, right? It's like all you have to do is follow all the numbers and just do everything, and then everything gets done in order to create it.
Yeah, and I think there's a different way of thinking, that a different kind of mindset. When you start using this system, it's a different kind of thinking, and I think you need to talk about that at some point in the whole system, maybe as a training, when you're getting people trained as to how to use this, to talk about the mindset that people have to use this with. Because if you try to use it with a regular mindset of I'm going to do everything on my own, it's not going to work. So you have to think from what's the mindset that people have to think from when using this tool. So I maybe create even a small video that talks about mindset.
I think that's really great. I appreciate you saying that. Let me make some notes about that. It's a very good point. I'm thinking at some point, I don't know when or how we would do it, or how to set it up in terms of like our value exchange. But I'm thinking, like, if you wanted to make a video like that, like you have it in your mind what that video should be like, and I wouldn't even thought of making that video. So I'm wondering if that's something, for you to do as an example. So again, I don't know how it fits into the whole structure that we're creating, the way we're working together, because it'd be like me paying you separate for that type of thing. But it seems like if there are things along the way, that anything that that I don't have to do doesn't get added to my
beneficial.
yeah, it doesn't get added to my to-do list, right?
Yeah.
And even if you're not going to be the person, even just to manage getting that done. I mean,
Oh, creating that as part of the reality machine, like just inserting it, and then yeah, I mean, you start using your own system to build it. Why not?
to build what?
To create that video.
Right. That's essentially it, right? Is that, and that's kind of how,
Like we just talked about the clip right now. Like I just said the intention.
exactly.
So talking about what was the incentive and what's the this, and literally doing the same thing you just created, and like and then seeing what it creates. I mean, I don't want to say I can do it just because I'm not really good at it. And I thought your video was really great, the one that explains with a lot of figures, and I think it has to be done really professional. So people, it has to be short and sweet, but it has to be, and it has to be like very clear as to like a 1 or 2 minute video as to what is it, how do you have to approach this tool when you're using it. You can't think linear, you have to think like like 3D dimensional, kind of like you have to explain that, and explain, if you don't think 3D, you're not going to understand the system really well, because that's what was happening. I was trying to go back to thinking linear, and like let's get everything done. You can't accomplish everything by yourself. So and she was saying, I'm gonna pay people, but what if you don't have the money to pay? So that's thinking linear. But if you think from this perspective, you can think of other things and other ways to getting it all done, even without having the money at this moment in time. And that's what I'm referring to when I say the mindset. You have to think outside the linear way of thinking.
That's perfect. And it's perfect that you said that, because again, everything you just said, it's not in my head even, I'm not thinking about what you just described, or that needed to be shared, but that's why it's perfect that you thought of that and that you shared it as well as you just did. So that's great. So either that's the clip, or it can get explained on a deeper level by you or by somebody. But you're also correct in saying that, like, as when the video can get processed, and that's been my hang up, and that's why we need to start having more and more views serving more and more clients, because I can't even do my own video processing right now, because I can't take the time to do it, and I don't yet have the resources to hire somebody for it, right? So like my solution is I need to serve a bunch of clients and be contracting with a bunch of people like you that are serving those clients, and that'll generate the revenue and the support and the people power and everything to get done everything we need to get done internally in order to use the system and process the videos and all of that sort of stuff, right?
Right.
I'm using the first clients to create the client demand for all of the different things that we need, right? So like, yes, I need to be processing the video, but I realize I don't have the time to process it now. So I need to hire video processors, but I don't have the money to hire those processors. So I need to find clients that can pay to hire those processors and have some, extra built in, so that I can also pay those people to do, what
I
they
see.
need to do.
And like those processors could be people in the Philippines, and it could be a lot less expensive, right? Or do you need them to be processors in the US?
No, they can be anywhere. I mean, of
Okay.
course, that's the beauty of the system.
Yeah.
There's no geographical boundaries. So for sure. And that's where, again, even just managing that, right? Even just managing sourcing people from some place and managing and providing training and, all of that stuff is all stuff of people that need to get hired, brought in by Uniting for Action, right? And again, at the moment, and I am looking forward to having some, sponsors or a larger level supporters showing up, relatively soon, to be able to provide some cash influx to be able to hire people, and set up managers and all of that. But as long as at the moment we're still in the bootstrap stage,
Yeah.
then it's just, more and more clients. And that's why, for me at the moment, really, and this is, part of the challenge, is that for a client like Angie at the moment, I mean, that like I need every dollar that she's willing to provide to Uniting for Action. It's a real challenge just to hire you and to give you some part of that money, right? But at the same time, I need to be able to do that over and over and over again to be able to create enough of a profit margin to be able to create all that I need. Because if I'm not handing it off to people like you, then I'm just drowning in a sea of work that I'm not able to get done anyways, right?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that, first of all, you have a lot of work, and it's a lot to handle, and you need people to help you. And in order to get people to help you, you need the resources. So you need resources, and I think that's the main thing right now. Figuring out a way to allow you to have money in the cash in the short-term period, because I mean, you can continue going like this, but it's going to take you longer. But how can you fundraise a certain amount of money that can get you through everything a little quicker? Maybe you're okay going the bootstrapping, and you're fine with it, and you just declaring, like, for now, for the next 3 months, I'm going to continue like this until I have my product developed to a certain level, and then I'm going to start getting fundraising. Like, which one is it? Are you choosing to not have money right now, or are you not sure necessarily where to start to figure out the money income situation?
No, I need to bring in a significant amount of money very quickly. So just in terms of like real dollars, I have to do the exact math, but it's somewhere in the like minimum 500 to 600, like by the end of this week, I think. And then I have to have another, I think, 15, it's either 1,200 or 1,500. I have to look it up for my storage by like Sunday or Monday, like at the latest.
That's like literally like short term, but I'm talking more like maybe in the next 3 months. What would you need to be able to accomplish? And like, a little bit of, I mean, I've been learning a lot about fundraising and investments, and how they work. Like, you've probably been supported by friends and family, but then you have like seed funding, right? And angel investors, right? So is that something that is not available right now? Like, it's not something that you wanna go for?
No, at this point, I do want to bring in, I want to bring in money at significant rates as quickly as possible, because
Okay.
the bootstrapping it's killing me.
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing. By the way, that's why I'm bringing it up, because I'm seeing that you really need the money.
Right, but it's the challenge with that I've been in, and this is where like you have to have a certain level of presentability to certain funders, right? And so I've been trying to, at least at the beginning, have a functional system to show people, right? And it's kind of semi-functional right now. It's kind of functional enough to at least to start that. Like, I don't want to say I don't care that I don't have like the formal business plan and all the other stuff, but I feel like for the right people, just showing them some of what I've been showing you, they can understand like how valuable this is and how this is going to change the world. I'm ready to have those conversations with those people without even having, the deck and the business plan and all that stuff, because at this point it is kind of so desperate to start having people get it and give money that, I need to find those people that get it enough without all the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where it's at for me at the moment, is that like I don't feel like I can devote, or at this point I don't feel like I need to, and that's the thing, I don't feel like I need to devote traditional resources towards creating traditional stuff for people. I mean, I would love to if I had more time, but I've been trying to get to that point, for months, but also I'm in a continuous development mode, right? But at this point, really, ideally, I just need, one person who has the means to be able to say, my God, thank you so much, Jared, for all that you've been doing. Let me help you. Let me give you $100,000
Right.
to start building this out, like right now,
Right.
type of thing. And I don't think that person filling that need at this moment is going to be like through a traditional formal, process of what normal VCs or seed money or angels, are looking for. It's going to be more like a conversation and, with one of those people showing them what's here already and them
Yeah.
like getting it enough to not care that all that other stuff isn't there. I'm going to help you with that. I've got
Right.
people that'll do that for you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm at. I'm ready to show the world what's here and just show up to support like in this moment, however they can.
That's one way, and I think that's a really powerful way of declaring, okay, this is how much I'm trying to fundraise right now. It doesn't have to be the traditional way. I'm not looking for, like you said, venture capital comes later, but an angel investor, that's the angel round, that they're literally giving their money at a big risk, and you're willing to give a percentage of your company for a specific amount of money. So creating, understanding what is that ratio that you're willing to give. The other option is, you declaring for yourself right now how much, what percentage would you like to put on the side for people that would like to see this project happen, and you might not be able to have the means to pay them, but you will pay them with stock, and it's a vesting period, of course, right? And so you say, okay, if you work for the next 3 years, you're gonna get this agreement that we're creating right now. So it could be like, if you work for 3 years, you'll get your 1%, for example, right? And then they have to work through it, and if they leave before that, they make the percentage that so having, like, I don't know, 20%, and this is kind of like standard, or I don't even know if it's standard or not, but having like 20% of the 100% of your stock dedicated to bringing in talent that you can't afford right now, but would make a huge difference in you moving things forward, like developers, video editors, and you have your other 80% that it's yours. And then that's the way that it works, is that you create the amount of stocks that you want to do, and then the moment that someone comes in, what happens is they add new stock, right? So you're gonna say, oh, I want to bring in $100,000, and my company is right now, I'm valuing it at this amount, so I'm giving up this amount of stock right now. So they get, let's say they get 100,000 stocks in your company. You have 800. Okay, you have 800,000 stocks. It's a million stocks. You have 800,000 stocks. You have your pool for people that can't work right now. You can't pay them. You have 200,000 stocks there available. And then the moment that someone says, you know what, I'm going to give you 100,000 for 100,000 stocks, then what happens is now the company has 1,100,000 stocks, and you still stay with your 800,000 stocks. And then the only thing that happens is that the percentage of your 800 decrease a little bit. Instead of you having 80% of stock, you have 79 or 78%, or a little less. I don't know how much it would be percentage wise. And that's how you start bringing in people. Your percentage is going to keep lowering, but the valuation of your company is just going to keep increasing, because now you have 100,000 more, and then next time you raise 500,000, then it's going to be the valuation, your percentage is going to go lower, but it's going to be more valuable. So that's how it works. And I'm sure you know this, but I'm just bringing the idea so that maybe this gives you perspective, and you can be like, you know what, why not and it just you have to have that clarity as to what is it, and maybe that's what we need to work on together to get that clarity for yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing it up. I think it sounds like it is a conversation to be had to come to some kind of conclusion on it, because well, I've resisted the idea of it to a certain degree but let me tell you the way that it works for me. Let's just start with that. The way that it works for me, as long as Uniting for Action can buy the stock back at a certain multiple. So as long as we retain the rights to buy out whoever has the stock, then I'm okay with giving stock. But I feel like the eventual valuation is not where I can't imagine anybody that should end up with billions of dollars for, their relatively minor role, but because they were so early and what they got, it's now, some crazy, like there has to be some cap at which, Uniting for Action can buy it back. So Uniting for Action is owning the stock essentially, because in the end, it's not Jared that's owning the stock. In the end, the stock and the valuation of the company is what allows the company to have the power that it has in the world, right?
Okay.
It's the fact that the company owns everything that creates the leverage, right? That creates the borrowing ability. I mean, just everything,
Yeah.
So I'm okay in the short term of providing big paydays for people that provide money up front when we need money. But I feel like there's a certain cutoff for what they can ultimately earn for what they're giving. Let's just say, anything up to, let's just, for the sake of it, and this is probably a bigger multiple than I would allow, but let's just imagine for somebody that would give $100,000 right now, that we would guarantee up to 5x that, like they could get up to $500,000 back, but they wouldn't be able to, we'd buy their stock back at that amount essentially, right? So Uniting for Action pays them $500,000, buys the stock back. Now, when it goes to millions and billions, it's within Uniting for Action's valuation rather than, so I do need to set like those kinds of limits and what I would be willing to give in terms of multiples and that sort of thing, because you get the idea of where I'm going with it, is that there's a limit. I feel like anybody that wants to have it enrich themselves above what Uniting for Action is creating is not the right type of person for us to be getting money from.
Yeah.
I want the type of person that's putting in money to really want to see this grow. Yeah. And ideally, I would want the people that really want to fund it to want to get, just their money back or some premium on their money, but they'd rather have the interest or the earnings or whatever go back into the system. You get what I'm saying? I want them to have the charity mindedness that they're doing it not because they're getting more money out of this. They're doing it because they're making this alive in the world. You get what I'm saying? And ideally even, and this is where, the first level of people that I want to find, immediately, although, I'd have to see how quickly I could have stocks and shares and that sort of thing. As you're getting into that, there's obviously legal things, accounting things, Security and Exchange Commission things, right? There's all kinds of different things when you're selling shares that, again, in the short term, in terms of like what I need this week, that's, I'm not there with selling stocks, right? But this week I could talk to somebody that wants this enough that they're going to loan some money or they're going to give some money, and those are the people that I at least want to be finding here and there, right? I want to be having enough conversations with enough people that people can say, I see like the years of your life that you've devoted, like here's a bunch of money that I was able to make in a month, it's $1 million, but you could really use it right now. I want to give this to you as a co-creation of what you're creating, Jared, and what you're creating, Emiliano, and what everyone's co-creating together. You get what I'm saying? That's like the short term where the money is for me, because I'm going to find some of those people as I just have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, right? Some people that care about this enough in the world that they're willing to give some fraction of what I've given into having this alive in the world, right? I'm only asking for a fraction, a tiny fraction of what I've put into the pot to make this happen. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, financial wise, because you haven't put in so much financial, but time wise and energetic wise, it's tremendous.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
I want to find the people who have the $10,000, $100,000, $1 million that them putting it in, they can see in their mind, is it just a tiny fraction of what I've put in,
Right.
and we're creating this together.
Mhm.
Why shouldn't anybody be as vested in having this alive in the world as I have? You know,
Yeah.
I don't have to be the only person that cares about all this being alive in the world.
Right.
That's you know, where I haven't gotten to the communication yet. I haven't gotten to those people yet. Like at some point, that message will be clear enough on the website, you know, that millions of dollars are coming in, you know, every month from people that want to see this alive in the world and created, right? And that's part of where I need to go with all of it. I know we're going deeper now, but you're getting where there's parts of the communication and part of the attraction of who Uniting for Action is looking for, not just users of the system, but supporters of the concept of this. This is solving every challenge on the planet, right? I mean, not solving, but it's giving us a structure to address them all in ways that we haven't had before, right? I mean, really, if you think about it, all of the foundations that are giving all of these, you know, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars to nonprofits will want to start to do it through this mechanism so that their resources can be used most efficiently and most effectively. And they're directing all the nonprofits that they're working with to be working within the system, right? So again, the vast flow of resources will be coming in without giving up, you know, vast equity over time. It's just like, how quickly can we get there? And at this point, as much as I want to spend time and attention on what do I need to do with shares and what is the buyback going to be and all of that, like you said, I can't even get there because like my stuff is scheduled for auction. My stuff is scheduled for auction next Wednesday, and I have to bring in $1,500 in order to make sure that that's not going to happen, right? And the week after that is something very significant with my mom's property that has to be dealt with, you know, for another $1,500 the week after that, right? So these are my daily like realities of like, what do I need to do to bring in this week? So to bring it all back, to be really specific, you know, I appreciated very much where you went with Angie about the sessions and the package. I like how that all unfolded organically, and that's right. And I was trying to process it some in my head. Because, you know, honestly, and this is why I was saying to Angie, I wanted to work with you to figure out what sort of things we could offer in addition, you know, to what she's already given, so that she has a reason, there's a win-win for her to give some more finances sooner rather than later, because it's a huge, you know, win for me to get those finances sooner rather than later, especially if she's going to do it anyways over the next couple months or 10 sessions or whatever it looks like. You know, so what wins can we give to her that incentivizes her to want to do that right now, right? Just as an example. And the same thing with other clients. And this is going to be with, you know, all clients, you know, to a certain degree, but at least for now. So as I'm saying that, I just also wanted to share that, and this will be, and I know, you know, there's a whole set of guidelines and everything that I need to come up with in terms of supporters in general and managers and all that, but also with you and I and Uniting for Action and all of that, is that we need, you and I need to keep the conversations about what we're going to offer behind the scenes before, you know, and I'm just specifically, and I know you understand, you know, when you shared with Angie, you know, I want to help and I want to make this happen so we can provide a special rate or something like that. Like you're creating expectations of what I'm going to be providing to her as a special,
So you're the one that handles that part. I shouldn't be handling it. Well, at least right now.
Well, not setting expectations. That's the thing, is that, now she's thinking, okay, if I was going to pay, $100 a session and I'm getting 10, is my deal going to be 900 instead of 1,000? Is it going to be 800? And again, I'm not sure how much I would want to discount it, so to speak, as to provide some additional benefit just for making the commitment, right? Rather than it be a monetary discount. So again, of course, we're going to have these conversations as we're starting to figure it out, but I'm just mentioning it now just so that, it's clear between us at this point. And then, when we go behind the scenes, then you can say, hey, I'm willing to give a discount to make this happen if that helps you and it helps
Okay.
the situation and that sort of thing. And then you and I can work it out, and then I'll work out, what I'm going to offer to Angie or to others. Yeah.
I'll let you handle the deals right now, just because you're the one that can, upsell, or however much you want to charge. And I'm basically right now offering it to you a very low price, so that way you have the margin to go even higher.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And it's really great. And I really appreciate that I feel comfortable, as you heard, that I'm already, billing your hours at $100. And like you're saying, for you, only charging 40, that does, help. I probably in general want to have a 2X as a standard. I'm going to have to see, because as I was sharing with another client, it really depends on how much management overhead there's going to be for me, at least in the beginning. But I think I'm going to, for a while, at least going to have to, keep watching videos or what have you, or maybe at least you'll provide summaries or whatever it's going to be. I'm going to have to be tuned in to how you're managing, the client, so I can see where there are things that I want to say about different ways I want it to be managed, or different things to be handled, right? So
Yeah.
that whole level of quality control, whether it's me or someone else, I mean, there's always going to be somebody else that's getting paid to manage whoever's interacting with the client, right?
Mhm.
And especially right now when it's me, it's a super high cost for that management. So,
Yeah.
I feel like at the least, if you're getting paid the 40 for those hours, but I have to get paid for the hours that I'm watching your videos and
Right.
that I'm having conversations with you, conversations, that you're not charging me for, but I'm not billing anybody for, right? So it's another overhead of hours, right? So again, but I appreciate the discount that you're providing at this point, and then
Oh, and
figuring out.
what I was gonna tell you is, like, what I can do to support you in this moment is, I can do the 10 sessions with Angie for, I won't charge you anything, so that you can make all that money. And then that way it's almost like I'm supporting you, and in a way it's also good for me, because I get the confidence to do this. And so, at least for this first 10 sessions, I know I said I charge 50% off, but I'll do it without charging you anything. It gives me a lot of freedom to just make mistakes as well. And it gives you the opportunity to, not that I'm going to make mistakes, or I'm not trying to, but
I know you're not.
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really my first client that I'm really working with officially. And I want to do this so that there's not that huge pressure. And it also helps you as well on your on bringing the income.
Yeah, for sure. It's a huge help. And I really appreciate you offering that. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you offering that. That's so generous of you. Really extraordinary. So thank you, my brother. I really honor you and appreciate you, on top of, all the support you've already been providing. That's really an extraordinary and a generous offer. And I'm super touched. I am. That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great fit for you guys. It seems like there's a great rapport right off the bat. I think you can help her a lot. I think it's going to make for good content. As I'm thinking about, we'll have to figure that out. You'll have to obviously make sure you're recording everything to the cloud, and I'll have to download those videos so we can upload them on Uniting for Actions YouTube page and that sort of thing.
What
So
What I think you should do is create a package with her so that you charge her up front for those 10 hours, 10 sessions. And then that way, she commits to it. And then that way it's you get the money right away. And that's how I would have done it anyways with the client. I would charge up front, or at least half of it up front, and then the other half after the first 3 or 4 sessions. But yeah, try to do it all up front, and then that way you're safe that if at any point the client is like, I don't want to do it anymore, they can't, because they already paid, so they're committed. And that's the thing with coaches. They charge per session, and the client gets demotivated, and all of a sudden, like, all of your progress is thrown away because they just thought, I'm not going to pay anymore. So you don't want to be charging every month, every session for it. That's something I've learned.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's really great. And so as I'm thinking about it, a couple of things I'm thinking about. One, I want to hear how you account for the communications and the support in between the sessions in terms of, the accounting of the time and that sort of thing. Because this is where what I've been imagining is creating it more like, and actually I shared this with another client. I can share this with you because this, I think can be public. Hold on a second. You know what, I'll just share this part. Hold on a second. Okay, so I have the other client that I've been working with that I mentioned to you, and then this is what I sent them. Putting it on another page here. This is what I sent them today. So I was kind of breaking things up into 90-minute sessions and blocks of 90-minute follow-up, right?
Mhm.
And then, for you and for me in the billable. And so it essentially comes out to like an hourly billable, right? Billing you at $100 an hour and me at $200 an hour. And but I was seeing it more like blocks, right? Because also I was seeing like, and actually I had some different thoughts about it today. I think ideally as a brand, if we can, I'd like to make sessions be an hour instead of an hour and a half. But today we saw how that got blown away. But I know today was a bit different with a lot of getting up to speed and everything. But I think if we can keep sessions to an hour, and I think also if you and me, who is ever conducting the session, tells the client up front, if this works for you once you're billing us again, that, up front say, our session today is going to be for an hour, but we're going to be together for an hour and 15 minutes so that we can just have friendly exchanges without feeling like we're cutting into your hour time, So it'll give us the freedom and ease to have a rapport with each other, that you're not going to be feeling like, when I'm at, we're just chatting.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah, that you're losing your billable time. So I think, I want to do that with all contractors so that, we're charging an hour, we're giving an hour and 15 minutes. And then again, when the session is over, then there's a certain number of hours of, follow-up, whether that's responding on WhatsApp or, recording a video and sending it, or just whatever. Because again, I think the sessions are going to be very valuable, but I think there's going to be a lot of valuable in between that's happening, communication in between the sessions, right? And that is time that the consultants, the supporters, should be paid for as well, right? So the way that I'm seeing it is that you're logging your time as you're doing it, and then, like, let's say, now it's going to be, let's just say that we're billing Angie or somebody like her for 10 hours instead of 10 sessions. And the anticipation is that those 10 hours are going to be, well, let's use it a different way. Let's say that let's say that since you already created the 10 hours or 10 sessions expectation, let's say that, just to keep the numbers right, that you would normally imagine you want to budget for 10 hours or 20 hours, you'll decide what the match should be of follow-up in between the sessions based on having 10 hours of sessions. Like based on 10 hours of sessions, we should have 20 hours of interactions happening in between those sessions. You get what I'm saying, as an example.
Right.
And then you're clocking it where every, quarter of an hour or half of an hour, you're letting the client know that you've used that much of what's there in the bank.
One way to do that and to make it very scientific is to just use one of those apps that when you clock in and it like tracks what you're doing. You can see take screenshots of your computer, and that way it just keeps it very transparent for everybody. If people don't have to look at that, but at least a good way for the consultant to track their time when they're actually dedicating time to the client.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down with all of those types of solutions. And again, it's another example where we want to, as soon as we're ready, have a strategic partnership with an entity like that, because that's going to be a core component of the whole Uniting for Action system, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there's all these components that we envision, and we need to find who's already built them and create a partnership with them where we're on a track for that being an API at some point, right?
Mm-hmm. But for now, you could just use their solution. And
For sure, just like we've done with MindMup, and we're going to do with MindMeister. In the meantime, we're just using a third party for that part of the solution, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So having said that, let's get back to the specifics of Angie. So are we agreed that it would be an hour session for the sessions that you have with her, and you'll get the hour and 15 minutes notice? And then what would you imagine would be an appropriate amount of in between, time that you're logging in between those 1 hour sessions with Angie?
Well, it all depends on what is it that is expected, because if I have to process the video, it's going to be a lot more, just because it might take me like 2 hours to process an hour video, no?
That's where and why the video processing is a distinct role, because if you are filling that role, you're filling that role, but you're filling that role as a different supporter, maybe even with a different hourly.
Not as a coach necessarily.
Not as a coach. You're not performing the coach function. You're doing the coach function, and then you're handing off part of, what needs to get processed in order for you to do your function to, a subordinate, so to speak, right? Or not necessarily a subordinate, but it's a supporter that's performing that function. Now, you may end up being the supporter that's providing that function, but that's based on, as kind of a separate thing than, you get what I'm saying? Like, yes, you do need to think about like how much video is getting generated, how much is, needs to be processed from your sessions, if any, and then what is the cost going to be to have a video processor do that, and so again, that's where we need to be finding these people and building these roles and creating expertise and creating marketplaces. But like you're saying, to begin with, it may be you, and to begin with, you need to figure out, like, what am I creating? What work am I creating from these sessions, right? And how is that going to get managed, and where is the cost in that, and that sort of thing? And that's where, I wasn't necessarily seeing it as 10 sessions out, because when I start to think about all that's going to happen inside of those sessions, there's a lot more costs that gets happening because of the processing and all of that. And you're not just talking about, pay me for 10 sessions of time, but pay me to support the whole process over 10 sessions. You get what I'm saying?
So wouldn't it be easier? Well, as you still need a time to just take the highlights of the videos, instead of watching the whole thing, you just make a note. You have a watch and you make a note of the time. That would make it a lot less time, because you're just chopping those videos up.
Yes, if you can find a good way to mark it while it's happening, that's been a solution I've been envisioning for a while and haven't been able to execute effectively. So, and it's not an overly complicated technology that's required, but like you're saying, you just need to have, have your watch matched up with the running time of the video, start your stopwatch at a certain time or whatever it is when the video starts recording, and then mark the time and then be able to go directly to those times. For sure, that's a shortcut method. If you don't have to, watch the whole video or process the whole video and that sort of thing. And I know we still have to show you the ways that I process the video to let you see, but also, I feel like there's I know there's a lot of room for improvement over how I'm doing things. I really am looking for more and more video processors to show up to create a best practices, because I don't think I'm anywhere near best practices. So
Right.
I'll show you how I'm doing it, but I'm sure you can improve on it. I'm sure other people can improve on it. But again, that's where, to me, the video processing, I mean, the role you're playing as the consultant is a very important role, and we have to have a lot of people, and we have to have a lot of video processors that can process a lot of video very inexpensively. And so again, like we talked about before, any role that you can play in helping that happen, that's just another thing on my to-do list that's beyond me being able to wrap my arms around at this point, right? And that's yet another example of need to bring in supporter money to be able to hire the person that's going to manage that. I know it's infeasible to have you managing all of these different things as well, but I'm just, again, to tie it all together, it's like, yes, this is how we speak it into existence in our words on this video. Now we've got to find the people who are willing to plug in and play the roles to be a video processor, be a manager of video processors, be a quality control, be a, this, be a that.
Yeah. Well, I think that I mentioned to you that I also wanted to learn how to do the processing and do it well. So if you're willing to guide me, I don't know if I can commit to doing the full 10 sessions every single time, just because it's a lot of time and it's going to take time. But working on it and figuring out as we go, and getting the most important parts of the video, and always trying to get what's most important from the video. Maybe I can't process the whole thing, but yeah, I could do some part of that.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate that. And I think that that'll help us get started with it. Thank you again for being so generous with that. Is that I think that as you're doing it and getting the idea of it, we can start to figure out essentially what it's going to cost to hire people to do it. Mm-hmm. And then we'll be able to start to incorporate that cost, into
the packages.
Into the packages, exactly. And we'll start to have an idea of how much needs to get processed, based on sessions and that sort of thing in your sessions. So I think, at the moment, let's set aside the video processing as its own separate amount for a moment. And again, just in terms of answering questions, providing clarity, just the normal, back and forth that's going to happen with clients. Although, a good part of it may be, like we talked about, you logging in and seeing the communication with her ghostwriter, you seeing how she's using different, all of you looking over her shoulder as the facilitator, as the consultant, how much would you imagine time that you're going to be, devoting in between sessions to just kind of managing it, managing what's happening?
I think to start, an hour per session, just to do the management. I think that makes sense.
I think that's a good target to shoot for, because I think it's very straightforward for people if we can be hitting that, every hour of meeting requires an hour of in between or whatever.
And that holds the coach and accountable as well to follow up, because otherwise they might not follow up.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So I like that. And so then the video processing, I think at the moment, in terms of the package, I think what we do is for Angie specifically, I'm going to have to think about how we break it down, because
I think one suggestion, you should add it all up and see it as the actual number that it is, with processing, with follow-up, with coaching, and actually put the actual numbers that it would be, and then you give her a discount on that, just
Right.
because, and then you make it whatever you want it to be, because you're getting, right now the cost is really low for you, so you can adjust it based on what she can pay. Also, you can't like charge her something she can't pay right now. But
No, right. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to think of how to balance all of that. So I think the way that I'm seeing it, because I don't think we can estimate the cost of processing at the moment. So I think what we're going to do, the way I'm seeing it, and I don't think, again, at the moment, if we say 10 sessions and 10 hours in between those sessions, then at the moment, the billable rate, that I shared with her for you is $100 an hour. So that's going to be $2,000 for all of that. And that doesn't count the video processing, right? But it's hard for us at the moment, and she's not going to always need video processing. It's hard for us to know when and how much that's going to be at the moment. So part of it is that we're going to throw in the video processing that you're willing to do as the incentive to do the package, is that you're going to do a certain number of hours of video processing as the bonus. And then it's going to help us along the way figure out what she's going to have to expect in terms of additional on top of the package, what she's going for future video processing once you do the first however many hours with her. You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
But at the same time, I feel like from what I know at the moment, she's not going to be in a position to provide $2,000 up front. So how do we start, dividing that up into, less incentivized packages, so to speak, because we want to have the highest incentivized package for the most upfront, right? But then, okay, if she can only do 1,000 at the moment, then this is what the incentive is going to be.
so
And
if she can pay up front, you do a 25% discount from the total, and you're also giving the bonus of the recording, so you're not charging that. So she already gets the bonus of that, and then you do the 25% discount if she pays everything up front. And if she doesn't pay everything up front, then you can do a 2-payment structure. And then if she can't do 2-payment structure, then you do a 3-payment structure, but you start decreasing the discount every single time. So then that way, the more time she takes to pay, the more expensive it's going to be.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I appreciate you saying that and putting it that way, because that's what I just have to think through in terms of figuring out what the offers are. So let me understand again. Let's go back, because you volunteered the 10 hours for the 10 sessions, but not necessarily the 10 hours for the in between the sessions. So you tell me, are you volunteering 10 hours or 10 sessions with that? I mean, tell me what you feel like is going to work for you. And then also how much you're willing to offer in terms of what we can offer for the recording processing that would be thrown in from you, based on how do you want to measure that? So I can understand what we're offering with that as well. So those are the questions I have for you at the moment.
Well, I think if we're not doing a session every week and we're taking like 2 weeks to have our sessions, I think I can do the weekly the 1 hour follow-up per session, and I don't have to. I'm just concerned that it's gonna be a lot of time committed to one person, or it's gonna take a lot of my time. So it's fine. I can do those, and as I said, I'm gonna do this first client, and I'm gonna gift it to you because of me wanting to support your project. It eventually, like once I get past this first one, then we can renegotiate and recommit to something new.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that. Again, thank you very much for what you're saying and what you're sharing, the heart behind it, the generosity behind it. It's, as you know, it's not going unaccounted for in our win-win value exchange. Like, you're banking a lot of value, with me and with Uniting for Action. So I'm very much looking forward to, creating value in your world in a myriad of ways, which
Thank you.
which you'll share with me more, all the different people and everything that I can send to you, all the supporters you're looking for, all the things that you want to realize, because yeah, for sure, you're offering so much. I want to offer equal value. That's really the idea, right? Is that we
Sure.
find ways to create the win-win, even if I don't have, like you said, the money to give you now. What can
Yeah.
I
And
create in the
listen,
world?
I am, besides supporting you, I'm seeing the value for myself, because it takes the pressure off financially, monetarily, and for me, it allows me to really like hone in my skill, and for my certification program, like even though I already did my 2 hours for that certification. I think there's a ICE, like international coaching, ICF, that requires you to do another like 35 hours of coaching. So I'm seeing how I'm just accumulating practice time and hours. So it's almost like, for me, it's beneficial as well, because it's what I want to do more and more. Like it's a passion of mine, and being a coach consultant is very important for me. So by you allowing me to do this as well, it kind of like takes the pressure off, and I don't have such a high standard that allows me to, even though with the client we have, but at least you're backing me up, and we're both like making sure that we're delivering the value, and I am pretty sure that we're going to be delivering the value to her.
Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt. And we guarantee value delivery, right? We're constantly offering our money back guarantee, essentially, right? And we might have to create different terms for the packages, where if clients, I don't know, we'll have to figure that out. But I always want to make sure that clients feel like they got, their money was worth for what they're paying for. And there's no question Angie's going to be getting that with your support. So there's no questions there. I think, one thing that I thought about as you were saying it, so I want to kind of tune in, you guys will see if the flow for you guys is a weekly or every other week meeting. That's originally what Angie was thinking, with that she and I would have every other week meetings. But as I was saying in the meeting, I want to, kind of break down that if there's standing meetings that help you guys, it works to have meetings on a certain schedule, I think that's great. But also I can foresee where, again, and a lot of times there won't be a need to have a delay to have the next meeting. You get what I'm saying? Like, sometimes maybe it'll be like the next hour, like, hey, are you still available? Let's just go for another hour. You know what I mean? Or it might be like, yes, I'm going to get that done tomorrow, and let's meet the next day, type of thing. It's like, I want you, as much as you can, be flexible in the flow of the client to be ready at the next available minute that they're ready to use their time with you, right?
Okay.
Not that you're artificially waiting for like a week, because we said we'd do it in a week, and you're both waiting and
Yeah, no, I get it.
adding delay to her project unnecessarily, right? And that's the thing, is part of this whole thing. We're trying to be as efficient and effective with time. We're trying to accelerate reality creation, right? Reality generation. So institutionally, organizationally, in Uniting for Action, as much as we can, we want to be ready for the client in the next moment that they're ready, right?
Okay.
Like, and we'll even have, you know, and sometime soon, like, you know, on-call rates, right? Where the normal rate is $100, but that's based on booking, you know, a week out. If they want to book like next day, then it's $150 or something like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's premiums for availability as well, right? But we want to, as much as possible, be able to serve the client as soon as they're ready.
Okay.
And again, part of the expectation that we want to create with the clients as well is that they're paying us to create results for them, and we're creating results along the way. And as we're creating results along the way, they're getting more revenue and they're having more resources to be able to hire us to do even more stuff for them, right? So that's part of where, you know, again, we want to give them the ability to use up their hours as quickly as they can use them up and get to the next ones, because we want to be in this constant flow, like we talked about. And I have to verbalize it really well so it's on the website, but the never-ending positive feedback cycle, right? The ever escalating positive feedback cycle. So we're giving them something that they're paying for. They're getting results out of what they're paying for, such that it generates resources for them. They can put more resources back into us, which allows us to build even more functionality that then the next time we come back, we're providing even more value. And again, it's a constant escalation, right? Because you can imagine, again, as we have thousands, millions of users that are doing that, that are constantly putting money back in, then the system's evolving and evolving and evolving. And, you know, by the end of 10 weeks, we've got all this different additional functionality that we can provide that creates all this additional results for them, right? Which creates reasons for them to give us even more money. So it's, again, it can be a constant, you know, cycle. And we're teaching everyone how to set up those cycles, because many people can have that kind of cycle relationship with the supporters they're working with and the people they're connecting with, right? So in a way, it's kind of like the objective is to create ever escalating positive feedback cycles with whoever I have a win-win relationship with.
For
right?
sure. Yeah, I agree. So cool.
Yeah. So, so I think that, well, I'm remembering now why I wanted to say that, because you mentioned, like you said, regulating your time with one particular client over a period of time. So if you're not anticipating that it's necessarily going to be one session a week or every other week, but it may be as much as, let's say, you tell me what your limit is in terms of how many hours per week is the maximum that you would, you know, give to Angie if she's trying to use up her hours with you, let's say, in an accelerated push, right?
Okay.
So what would that look like?
I think right now, if we can say 3 coaching hours, that would be good, a week.
Okay, 3 coaching hours a week with Angie,
Up to 3.
Up to 3, because then what that does is it gives Uniting for Action up to 2 more hours to pay you each week, right? To find other clients that we're going to have you work with, because you said 5 hours is your max per week for Uniting for Action for right now. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and I think I can continue committing to that. I'm just I just have a bunch of other things, but I think I can make that work. If it stops being workable, I'll let you know.
Okay, so I think that's a good balance, again, because again, if you're giving up to 3 unpaid with Angie, then there's still some room for us to be paying you with other clients, because I want to, you know, be using up all the time we can and be, you know, paying you as much as we can.
Okay.
So that's good. If that works for you, does that feel like a good balance? And again, maybe with you and Angie will be, you know, 1 meeting a week. I think in my mind, I mean, again, you'll see what is an appropriate flow for you guys, but I think in my mind, I would like to see if you're able to provide enough value each week to have a session each week with an hour of support in between. Because again, I think creates a nice regularity.
Yeah, that's fine.
For a certain period of time. but again, it's going to be based on, do you guys have enough to meet again the following week, or should it be 2 weeks before you have your next meeting and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'll let you kind of work that out with Angie, but I think you've given me all of the, numbers and constraints and considerations that I need in order to figure out what offers to create with Angie right now to create some sort of longer term commitment to have you and her be on some anticipated schedule of how many hours she's booked you for going forward.
Perfect. Yeah. At least with Angie, that's the case. And then, if you bring another client, we'll discuss that separately.
Yeah, I'm thinking we haven't worked out the numbers yet, but I'm optimistic that I'm going to work out the numbers with Pearl to be able to have, that's who I had told you about, was the other client that I had a meeting with. I sent you her website where the healing, I don't think it's going to be 2 hours a week, but I think there may be some support that you're going to provide per month to her. We'll kind of figure out, where we're going to be with that.
Okay.
But I think that's another client that might come sooner rather than later. And, my job right now is to bring the clients in, right? So I want to fill up your schedule as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
That we're both, so that we're both benefiting from it.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect. Sounds good.
Okay, cool. I know we didn't get into well, you did do some analysis on Uniting for Action tonight, and that's awesome, and I appreciate it. I think, we obviously covered a lot of other details, but I think the next session that you and I have, you'll go back to some of the things that you wrote down. But is there anything that you want to ask me right now in preparation for processing Uniting for Action's needs and how you want to be supporting Uniting for Action and the different consultation that you can be providing and that sort of thing?
Well, I was just thinking to start creating your it's called a cap table. You're familiar with it?
I'm not.
A cap table is basically, at least right now, you might not need it because it's just you, but it talks about the stocks. And even if you don't have the stocks yet, like set up officially, it's just a spreadsheet that says, how much stock you own, how much stock are you giving out for the first round of angel investors. And you have various rounds of angel investors. And then you have the next round of, or seed money, right? Pre-seed, seed, then you go into the next hole. But have angel investors, pre-seed, seed, and whatever. But the cap table tells you, okay, this is how much Jared owns. This is how much the pool of stock is worth right now. It's, and you have to come up with a number of how many stocks does the company have right now. You have to decide that, and doesn't matter ultimately. Just make it a big enough number so that it's easy to break it down in the future.
How many shares we have is what you're saying.
Right. How many shares do you have? And then how much are you creating for the team that you can't afford right now, but if you were to bring in for an exchange of stock, they'd be happy to work for you.
Right.
And it's not just like they don't just get it right away. It's a vested period. So being able to do that is going to allow you to bring in talent that would be too expensive to hire in the first place, but they're working because they see the vision and they want to help you. And of course you have to have contracts and all of that really clear, but at least this gives you a little bit of understanding as to what you can do, and you don't have to be like drowning in so much work, because you can start delegating a lot of this work to people that would be interested in working for this in this capacity.
Yeah, I guess in my mind, I think that's great. And I really appreciate you saying that, because I can see where having that information, having that table is a necessary component of this. I guess in my mind, I'm thinking that the quality of people that we need in the positions that we need, that we'd have to be paying them something. You know, that we're not going to be able to get the quality of people we need in key positions without paying them something close to market rate for what their salary is, right?
Right.
They wouldn't be able to be full-time Uniting for Action not earning anything, right?
They
So
probably won't be able to work full-time anyways if you're not paying anything, but at least at the beginning, they might have their full-time job and then they can do this on the side and dedicate 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week. And then, but they love the vision, so they're excited and they're working towards earning stock in the company. And then once you're able to hire them and pay them more, then they can work full-time for you if you want that.
yeah, I see what you're saying, and I think that's good. Okay, good. Yeah, I think that's great that you're bringing all that up. So let's keep that on our plate for part of our ongoing communication and conversation, and we'll kind of figure out where we want to go with this. I was thinking, yeah, we'll have to figure out, because you mentioned, you know, that you wanted to have 2.5 hours that you're offering, you know, you were offering 5 hours complimentary total, 2.5 that you need to get done by today, and 2.5 that you're going to get done after today. Well, you're obviously offering way more than that at this point. So, you know, I was thinking about, before I had been thinking about, you know, whether Uniting for Action was going to use any of those 2.5 hours after this, based on, you know, where we went with this conversation. I don't even know, you know, where you want to go with all of that now. Maybe you want to take some time to process. I'm just trying to think about how Uniting for Action can continue to access your consultations, you know, before we can pay you, you know, your regular, you know, consultation rate. So I guess think about that as well, because you're already, you know, obviously being so generous with Angie and all of that. And I don't know how you want to fit Uniting for Action in and how we would have that flow. Again, obviously I want to pay you as soon as I can, but obviously, you know, with what I just shared with you, it won't be happening this week. Well, at least not today. Maybe by tomorrow I'll have it all worked out. But that's where, you know, you get what I'm saying.
Right.
So we'll figure out ways, you know, because like we talked about when we messaged, I want to create a platform for you to showcase your talents to the world. You'll have Angie and all the videos with Angie as a case study, but Uniting for Action as a case study is a different thing,
And
right?
that's important, that's valuable. So it doesn't have to be a monetary exchange. It could be an exchange of some other kind where, you know, you can support me by doing that, exactly, like exchanging, so that my business can grow as well. My
Yeah,
coaching consulting business.
yeah, that's really great. I wanna help that blow up. I feel like we can make you a star on the Uniting for Action platform, and as soon as clients are showing up, you know, that you can be in demand, and even in demand as other consultants are here, that you're being a featured consultant, and your, you know, hourly rate is rising as your demand is, you know, as your schedule gets maxed out, and you have the, you know, all you can do is raise your rates, right? So that'll be great.
Yeah, so that would be a huge exchange, you know, if you can help me doing that, like I'm more than happy to continue providing the consulting, and we're building that exchange of value.
Cool, man. Let's do it. Awesome. I appreciate it. That's great. That's really great. Um, Excellent. I appreciate all the time. We've gone for 3.5 hours between the two meetings, so I really appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time and the interest and everything. It's really awesome. I'm so grateful that we're sharing this journey. It's really extraordinary to me. I feel so blessed on so many levels. You've been such a big supporter, as you know, on so many levels already. So just really excited for what we're developing here.
Yeah, I'm excited too to see this happen and grow.
Cool. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I love you. Very grateful for you. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. Thanks again to you, and you let me know so with Angie what the next step is. I won't say anything until you tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll do exactly what we talked about in terms of creating the expectation with her that there's going to be an hour in between sessions. And since you mentioned the 10 sessions, here's like the full package.
Great. Yeah, what I would do is I would create an agreement with her and then sign it and have everything stated as to what to expect and what's the outcome or the deliverable. So that way she's clear and you're both clear. It's an agreement that's signed, and that way we just execute.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. Thank you for suggesting that. And we'll, all three of us will have to sign it since you're being the specific
Right.
consultant that's showing up. So that's great. Perfect. I love it.
All right. Perfect.
Awesome.
We'll talk. Let me know.
All right. Sounds great, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good night.
You too.